As trading card game fans, I think we undervalue Magic the Gathering as a collectible. I'll be the first to admit Magic collectability isn't what it once was, but I believe it is still alive and well. And well, for me personally, it better be. I have in my hand the single biggest risk I have ever taken as someone who is a trading card game fan like all of you out there. I have a collection that I have purchased valued around $8,000. I'm going to tell you why I bought what I bought, go through all the pieces that came in this crazy box right here, and talk about why I think, for me, this was a good move and why I made it right now. I'll admit, I'm a little nervous. All right, let's get into it. So it's time to crack into this box and kind of, see what we bought, if it will. Now, I know this, but you guys don't. And I will say that while I'm extremely nervous, as I have for my whole life been a Magic the Gathering player, someone who always gets down, plays Magic the Gathering. I have played Modern, I have played Standard, all the way back to the Game Store eras where they weren't called Modern and Standard. It was Type 2, Type 1, and Type 1.5 even, yes. So I never really purchased major Magic the Gathering collectibles, but today is my first go, and I always talk about modern collectability in Magic, and I wanted to add to my collection. And I gotta tell you, this has been a much easier process because I know where it came from. I actually bought these from my buddy Louie over at Game Grove. He's got a YouTube channel, Kitchen Table TCG. I suggest you check him out. But this is a big deal, and if I know anything about Louie, there's going to be some fun packing condiments in this box, but that's kind of not what we're here for. And as if right on cue, we have the shipping goods MetaZoo. Make sure you tune into a live stream here at Hometown TCG. Click that notification bell as we will be opening these packs on a live stream. I'm gonna set those off to the side. Yeah, we got to open those on a stream somewhere. Oh my goodness. So not only do I feel safer about the purchase, look at this. Look at this. I just got MetaZoo everywhere. This is why you came to this video, is for the MetaZoo packs sitting everywhere in this collection. But now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty and what are the Magic the Gathering items that I bought. Let's kind of empty this out. We'll clean up the floor of the office later. The packing peanuts certainly did their part. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we can kind of get rid of that for now. That will be open. That will make for a good Friday morning Magic. That'll make for a good time. But I have right here the major purchase. And when it came to collecting Magic and making a massive Magic the Gathering purchase, far beyond what I was used to making, I decided to turn to the reserved list, and I turned to none other than dual lands. So here you will see we have revised dual lands, and I'm going to go through each and every one of these and kind of talk about the specifics of the purchase, what we got, check condition, and talk about why I think this is a good move in Magic the Gathering collectability for someone looking to collect Magic the Gathering. So let's take a second and let's take all of these out of the outer wrapper. First of all, big shout out to Game Grove and Louie and the staff over there, as these seem to be shipped really well. Things are packaged so far really well. Aside from the MetaZoo, everything is packaged extremely well. We're going to kind of lay all these out. And then the order was I did buy 2 of each revised dual land. Now, I know that going into collectability of revised dual lands is not new, but this to me is the new direction of Magic the Gathering collectability. It has been for some time now. I believe collectability is not just about scarcity. It's not just about the treatment on the card, the art on the card, or the reprint version of the card. It also is majorly impacted by the playability of the card in the most played trading card game in the world. So when I turned to start a major Magic the Gathering purchase, I wanted to say to myself, what do I think not only is going to be something that fits my rules for collectability that I've done on the channel. You can check that video. It's somewhere in the videos past. If I remember, I'll link it up here somewhere. But it has to be versatile. It can't just be something that sits on my shelf. I have to be able to find some other joy in it, maybe put it in a deck, maybe start a new format, play it. It also has to be something that the community covets. It has to be something that's viewed positively in our community. And with Magic the Gathering right now, there's not a whole lot of modern stuff there. And when all else fails, I approve of turning to the reserve list. Is something I have liked to do in the past, and so that is where I went. Now, dual lands fit a lot of those bills. They are iconic in Magic the Gathering's history. They are, of course, on the reserve list, and yes, they are highly playable. With Commander being more popular than ever, dual lands have never been more viable as far as cards to own in any Magic the Gathering collection. So it's time, let's unsleeve some of these and look at why I chose what I chose. And as we look at the first two Underground Seeds, let's go ahead and slide those out and take a look. Wow, would you imagine that? They feel like Magic cards. I have a couple revised duels, but I don't have a complete set yet, which is what I'm looking to try to complete now. I do believe that cards like this will always be remembered fondly. I'm shaking a little bit knowing how much I spent on this. And I wanted to turn to Magic cards that were not only extremely playable, they were iconic cards, they were coveted, they were versatile, but I wanted to get things that were in good shape. If I was going to reach back into Magic's past, and I know that there might not be a super limited number of revised dual lands, it might be something that's readily available. The print numbers are often speculated to be just tons and tons of these things. We look at these Underground Seas. I did choose to buy higher quality items. So if we looked at those Underground Seas, especially the first one, we see some good centering, some good solid corners. We don't see a ton of yellowing, and this was important to me because as I'm buying this as a collectible and as something I can play, I do want to buy, high quality versions of these cards, because as they sit in my collection, ideally one day, I'll keep them forever, but if I do decide to move on from them one day, it is something that somebody else would covet and holds a high amount of value. But it's hard to find. I mean, we see if you wanted to get, and this is not a Game Grove critique, this is a revised Magic critique, these cards are so old, like things are going to happen to them. You're going to get spots on them. You're not going to take many of these and send these in for grading and get, PSA 10s, because they've been around the globe now. They've been around the sun 20 times, if you will. So it's harder and harder to find high quality, but that's why I went the quality that I went. Now, I do think it is viable. If you are out there looking to say, hey, maybe I want to kind of crack into the revised duels or expand my Magic the Gathering collectability palette into revised duels, I think they are some of the cards that are okay to get a little more played condition. As we see, some of them that I picked up, there were only played ones, and I opted to still pick them up anyway, because I really do believe that the playability of these cards is only going to drive their collectability. It's a big point I want to hammer home in today's video, and that's, it's not just about what looks good on our shelf. And wow, you think Brothers War serialized cards and some of the centering problems that we have, and like this, it's like, man, Magic the Gathering prints things that we think could be iconic one day, and the centering on some of this stuff, you just can't figure it out. You got something like the Well of Lost Dreams here. It's got a 9. It's not bad, but like the centering is off. It's like slightly shifted and things like that. You just see this was always the case with Magic the Gathering, and every once in a while this demon rears its ugly head. But as I was saying, the playability of these cards is going to lend to their value, lend to their iconic nature and how much our community loves them, and in the long run, lend to their collectability. But it's not without risk. This move that I made, this massive purchase, as we see some tropical islands, I want to tell a story about Tropical Island here after I finish this bit about risk, but Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast have what is called in my day job, in my line of work, as stroke of the pen risk. As just at any moment, Wizards of the Coast could just decide to abolish the reserved list, and we're going to reprint all this stuff. And I know you'll hear the stories of all the, no, they won't do that, they'll get sued, it'll be this, it'll be that. At any moment, it's a risk that they could just decide to do that. And Wizards of the Coast hasn't necessarily built up as much, positive feedback or belief in the company from its community as of recent. So while I think this is, as far as massive collection purchases is concerned, relatively safe, there is always a huge risk. So you will see me talk, when I cover this collection, update its value, and then finish it out one day on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell if you want to see kind of stuff like that around the channel as we get this taiga in. Oh, this one's a little bit, look at that, slightly darker. But I all in all, I think there's risk there. It's not just, set in stone, hey, this is free stocks or free collectability value or money or anything like that. I don't think that's the case at all. Now, I will say that this collection, if you've stuck around for this long as we look at some of these beautiful cards, I mean, these cards are so old and they are in immaculate shape. Big shout out to Game Grove and Louie over there for really representing the condition of these cards, sending me a lot of purchases or pictures and scans of the borders, of the value. I had a very good idea of what I was buying, and so far everything has been on the up and up 100%, which is, he's a really good friend of mine, so you expect it, but it's just good to see, in case this went off to someone else in the business, however it worked, that business is running well. You got to appreciate that. But I do want to take a second and say, I want to go back through here, and we will re-sleeve all these up in just a second. But as far as something like the Tropical Island goes, this is the first dual land I ever remembered seeing. And stay subscribed. I'm going to do a path to collectability for Magic the Gathering. But I was probably in the game for 2-3 years. I remember seeing a Tropical Island, and I thought to myself, that's the coolest thing in the entire world. And it was valued at something I just couldn't afford. But this was, 15, 17 years ago, something like that. And I thought to myself at the time, I'll never be able to own that card. It's not something I'll ever have. It's not something I could ever feasibly afford, but it's just a journey. It's just this massive, step on step on step, and you take a bunch of small stones and pile them up, and sooner or later you build a wall, and next thing you know, you got a bunch of sealed product and a YouTube channel. So it's just kind of, for me, this is a big moment. This is a massive moment for a massive Magic the Gathering purchase, as that's my first Tropical Island duel, and that's just the one that I remember as a younger Magic the Gathering fan. Now, this Bayou, we see some of the off-center issues rearing their head, but it is worth every bit of it. So all in all, this is where I think Magic the Gathering shines. Playable cards, iconic playable cards, can be used in so many versatile ways. It's one of the major principles that I preach here on the channel about collectability. Something, I will grade some things. My brother's War serialized card collection, I'm working on grading, but I do believe the best move for the happiness of me as a Magic the Gathering fan, and let me know if you agree with this in the comment section below, but it's the versatility of a collectible. Can it be collectible? Can it be something that you play with? Can it be something that you show off? Can it be something that you hold on to for years and years and years and follow the value of it? If you can check more of these boxes, you will, in my opinion, be happier with the collectability of the card and the purchase you make, as we see the Volcanic Island, and we kind of end there. Now, to end this video, I do want to tell you my plans for these. I won't be sending any of these to get graded or anything like that. I think that breaks the purpose of this as a collectible. There are cards, iconic cards in Magic the Gathering, I absolutely would get graded. I've said before, my goal is to achieve a Lotus on this channel. While this channel is still around, while you guys are all still subscribed, while you guys are all still hanging out, my goal is to get a Black Lotus into my hands. I've never owned one. I think it would be very, very cool. That is something that I would consider grading. I think that is such an iconic card in Magic's history. It's often a one of in these decks. You can't play more than one. It's not playable in the most iconic format. That to me is worth grading. These are collectible and playable, in my opinion, in equal amounts, and I think gradability is not where you want to be with these cards. So as I sleeve all of these back up, I want to give one more shout out to the guys over at Game Grove. Thank you so much for shipping this out my way and making this purchase as easy as possible. If you want more information about this collection, how my collections are going, or to show off your collection, make sure you click on the Discord and join the Discord in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this conversation on collectability, let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, you guys know me. Oh, by the way, if you think this is a good idea, a terrible idea, I don't mind being memed. Share this video. Say, hey, some idiot bought all these dual lands, what is he thinking? Or, wow, this is a really cool purchase. I loved seeing these all in one place. Share this video on a social media platform because I love to start conversations like this and see all these different perspectives when it comes to major Magic the Gathering things like collections like this. Thank you so much again for hanging out. Until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh, and we will see you around. Oh, make sure you got notifications on because we'll open some MetaZoo one day on a live stream. Gee, thanks, Game Grove.